Hello and welcome to this new tour of ClickUp Sheets. If you've been following my channel, you know I've been working on a Google Workspace add-on that lets you export and keep in sync your ClickUp tasks with Google Sheets. It also lets you export your time tracking and your users into Google Sheets. Now I started working on this tool back in 2024 and improved it over time, but I've decided to make some improvements on the tool, mostly on the user experience and performance. Not only the tool is prettier today, but it's also faster to keep your tasks in sync. Now let's go for a brand new tour of ClickUp Sheets. Once you've installed ClickUp Sheets, you should see this screen. If you haven't installed it already, it's available in the Google Workspace Marketplace. The link is down in the description. If you go into any spreadsheet in Google Sheets, there's also a little arrow here at the bottom right. And if you click that arrow, it opens what's called the Google side panel. And in here on the sidebar, you're able to add add-ons. Now, if you click on the plus button here and search for ClickUp, my add-on should come up as one of the first ones, and it should be over here called ClickUp Sheets. You click install. It'll prompt you to just validate a few things. After accepting the terms and conditions and the different Google permissions and stuff, you should see that in your sidebar. And once you click connect ClickUp, that will let you select your ClickUp workspaces, which means from now on, you'll be able to sync lists and views into your sheet. We're gonna do an example with an existing list I have in my ClickUp account. It's this one. It's some sort of CRM where I have a bunch of users here, and there's data like their email address, their first name and last name. And I'm gonna be able to bring that into my spreadsheet. What I can do is come here, click sync list. I'm gonna select my workspace, which is Abscess Demo, go into sales, lists at space level, and then the contacts list. And then it's asking me a few things. If I wanna keep in sync ClickUp with Google Sheets one way, which means ClickUp will always bring in the data, but any change we do in the spreadsheet is not going to be applied there. Or if I want to sync two ways, which I'll show you right after. I'm going to pick one way for now and going to bring in a few things. And as you can see, you have these little new icons that were not there in the previous version. And I love it because you're able to easily understand what you're going to bring into your sheet. So I'm going to pick custom fields, and then I'm gonna bring in the close task, although I don't think I have any. I don't need subtasks, I don't need description either. But then I'm gonna turn on scheduled sync, which keeps the sheet in sync with ClickUp every 3 hours. I'm gonna start my sync. I've turned on color statuses as well, which means if I change statuses in ClickUp, they'll be colored and they'll look like green, red, purple, depending on their color. It's now preparing the sheet, and it should take about a minute until my data is appearing here. All you have to do is just go grab a coffee, come back, and your data will be in your spreadsheet. I'm gonna go back to the home page. You're gonna be able to cancel or refresh the sync just to see if it's been done already. So that's the very first feature of ClickUp Sheets, being able to keep in sync your spreadsheet with ClickUp and seeing your data live in here. As you can see, everything is coming up in the new status, but if I wanted to make changes in my ClickUp account and say, change the status of some of these tasks, just put them in different statuses. Just gonna put a few proposal here and there, and then go back into my spreadsheet. I can click here and just resync the sheet as many times as I want, which means I can keep my sheet in sync real time. The cool thing I've told you about earlier is that if you were to just turn on the scheduled syncs from the settings, you won't have to do anything, and that will just be done every 3 hours, even if your spreadsheet is closed. As you can see, my tasks are brought in and the colored statuses are there, and the statuses have been updated, and it's all live, and it took not even like 10 seconds to sync up. The data is there, and if I go into the dashboard, it's been updated as well. I can see the amount of tasks I have in there, if there's any estimated time, lingering tasks, average task age, project progress, about my sheet. If I wanted to sync something new, go into web design here, for example, and sync a view. I have a bunch of tasks there in different stages in the batches. I'm gonna go here. I am going to click view sync. I can pick the view from the workspace, space, folder, or list level. I'm in the space level here, batch now in the web design space. I'm gonna bring that and click Abscess Demo, and then select my space web design space that I've just shown you. And then from there, I can bring the batch now view. And what's cool about the view sync is that you can pick what you want to bring from ClickUp. Because as you can see here, we have a few fields, and inside of a task, we have more custom fields. And maybe we don't need those custom fields into our spreadsheet. The way you do this is you set up the view exactly the way you want it in ClickUp, and then you go back to ClickUp to Sheets and you bring in everything, but you don't turn on the hidden default fields and custom fields. That way they're not brought in. The ones that are hidden in the task will stay in ClickUp and not be in your spreadsheet. Now, maybe I want to bring some more data, like the task description, or turning on scheduled sync the same way, or coloring statuses and dropdowns as well. I'm going to do that and click Start Sync, which should bring in a view this time. As you can see, it's already created my spreadsheet, took a few seconds, and the columns here are the exact same as the ones you see into your ClickUp. You're going to have your name, signee, start date, due date, the web product, the batch, and points. If I wanted to update a few here, it will catch them up once it does the sync. That's the cool thing. Now, if you go back into the spreadsheet, those very columns and only those columns are brought into the spreadsheet. So you can see it's created the spreadsheet, and it's going to bring the tasks with the name, description, assignee, start date, due date, batch, web products, points. And it's coloring the tasks the right way, exactly how they look into the view. They're going to bring these colors into the spreadsheet. Now, one last thing I want to show you is two-way sync. We're going to go back here into that contacts list, and I'm going to click into the sidebar and turn on two-way sync for that list. And I'm going to explain you exactly how it works. Upon turning on this two-way sync feature, you're going to be able to sync tasks back into ClickUp. It's going to create a new column called update info. And what this column does is it gives you the status of any column that's in purple here and gets updated. I can easily change the values from my spreadsheet and bring them back into ClickUp in real time. I have a few new drop downs here. Updating the priority, or changing the status of a task, or updating the status to lost will update ClickUp as well. And I can do the same for custom fields as well. If I were to update the values of someone's name, Elon Tusk, I'm just gonna add a new name in the first name, last name field here, or change some start dates and due dates, it will reflect in ClickUp. And what's cool is that it tells me in that update info what it will update. Will it update custom fields or base fields and custom fields if I were to update this as well? Any change will be reflected here in the update info. What I'm going to do is click refresh here and sync my tasks back into ClickUp by clicking sync, and that will show in ClickUp in about a minute. Back to ClickUp here in that same list and check out my tasks. They'll be updated in a few seconds. So as you can see here, the statuses have changed and this person has gotten their first name and last name filled as well. These changes that were in the spreadsheet are in ClickUp right now. That means you can sync two ways. So we're down to our two last feature, and these ones are pretty cool. Stay with me because you're going to see they can be useful if you're doing time tracking or if you want to audit your user base into your tool. The first one is export time tracked. What this lets you do is export either manually just one time or automatically every week or every month your time tracked into ClickUp. You know how in ClickUp, if you open any task and it has time tracking enabled here, people can just log the time they spent on the task over the past weeks, months, days. And you can see that in ClickUp. But you can also export it for external stakeholders or just to push it into another app from your spreadsheet. What we're going to do here is show the time tracked for that workspace that we've been working on, which is called Upsys Demo. And we're going to bring in the time tracked for the whole workspace over the last month. We're going to bring in the time tracked for, say, the whole month of February until now. And I'm going to bring a dashboard and a time breakdown as well. I'm going to show you how those ones can help you make decisions and see at a glance which tasks have been the most worked on, or just share with a specific client the workload and the time spent over the last month, for example. And you just give them access to the spreadsheet. They can log in, they can check it out, and you don't have to give them access to ClickUp. And what this does is it consolidates data better than ClickUp timesheets do. I'm going to show you that as it syncs. Just for the record, I do have time tracked on this demo space over the last weeks. So this data should show up in the spreadsheet in a few seconds. Now, what happens is it exports every single time entry here with the actual duration, when it was, and if it's billable or not. And what that means is we can drill down the data by seeing the time spent by everybody in our team in each month and just have some cool diagrams here of the time spent for the team members. So you can see how much time was spent over the last month, the billable hours, the average session durations, and you can see on which days it was spent, in which weeks, on which projects as lists, on which tasks, and the active hours for each users, as well as the billable hours for each user. This lets you create a recurring report for your clients, for example. All they have to do is log in into their spreadsheet that you shared with them without having any access to ClickUp. And this dashboard here is much deeper than what you can do with a native ClickUp dashboard. Now let's move on to the very last feature of ClickUp Sheets, which is user export. And this is not something that you do very often, but if you wanted, you could pick a workspace here and export to users, and that lets you analyze the behavior and how they are using your workspace. As you can see, it's creating the different reports. I have a few users here. 100% have logged in at least once. That's awesome, but one is inactive and haven't logged in for the past 3 months. I can either delete their account or just email them and ask them why. So you can see who's active, who's inactive, and that just lets you get an idea of whether your workspace is being used or not. That's about it for the full tour of ClickUp Sheets. Download ClickUp Sheets from the Google Workspace Marketplace. You can just install it from Google Sheets as well. And from there, start the trial for 7 days. And if you're happy with that, you can go in clickuptosheets.com and subscribe to the add-on. So there's 3 plans available, and it really depends on your needs as a team. If you just want to sync a few lists because you have very, very few exports, the starter plan is more than enough. It's just about exporting a few lists from ClickUp and just seeing them into ClickUp Sheets. Now, if you want to export as many lists and views as you wish, you have to go for the Pro plan. This Pro plan lets you export unlimited lists, so that means unlimited tasks, but also make use of the time entries and the users features I've showed you just right now. And that very last plan, the business plan, is about people who want to use that two-way sync feature I've showed you. So if you want to bring in whatever you change into the spreadsheet in ClickUp, you have to go for the business plan. And this is more for power users and teams that just want to let external stakeholders make some changes into the spreadsheet, and that would be moved into ClickUp. It's up to you, whatever fits your needs, whatever is good for you. And all you have to do is just click subscribe here and subscribe to ClickUp Sheets. And I'm going to show you one very last thing. After you've gone through your subscription, you can actually bring in other people into ClickUp Sheets from your company. That's called the team dashboard. The team dashboard lets you add other people that have a Google account into ClickUp Sheets, and they can make the changes or have their own spreadsheet and make their own exports. And all you have to do is go into the team dashboard settings here. You're going to be able to add new user as long as you have paid for an extra plan for them in ClickUp Sheets. If you're the one that paid for ClickUp Sheets, you can go into manage billing and subscription here, and we'll open the billing portal, which will let you add more seats, which means if I click update subscription here, I can add extra seats and pay for them. This lets enterprises, large companies that needs a few people to edit the sheets to just have one single subscription and many users in ClickUp Sheets. I have a few customers already using this feature, and you can think of just your main ClickUp owner, the power user, the champion, and maybe the accountant or some managers wanting to do some exports. You just have to buy extra seats for them and just add them here as a team member, and you're good to go. Now that's about it. I've showed you everything possible with ClickUp Sheets. And if ClickUp were to add some new features into their exports, I'm able to bring that in as well. So this tool is probably going to grow and evolve, and stay tuned because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some cool features coming up very, very soon. You're going to see. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to give a try to ClickUp Sheets, the link is just right below. And until then, stay productive.